So today I'm going to be talking about computer science as the key to doing what you love. But before I do, a little bit of an introduction on myself. So my name is Mehal, and I am a sophomore studying computer science at Carnegie Mellon. And at the end, we're going to have like a little Q&A. If you want to ask me about that and how that's going, please feel free. So when people hear the words computer science, often they think about programming and programming computers and sitting in front of a screen all day and and just typing away. When you watch movies and people are hacking, you see like rows and rows of words on a screen and they're going by very quickly. And yeah, a lot of what computer science is programming computers, but it's so much more than that. So one of my favorite quotes about computer science is that computer science is no more about computers than astronomy is about telescopes. So in astronomy, obviously, you don't sit there and you don't study the parts of a telescope. The telescope is merely a tool to look into space and to see the stars and to examine the stars and to look beyond, right? The same thing goes for computer science. Computers aren't like in computer science, we don't study computers. That's different. What we do is we use computers as keys to doors into the larger world. Computers are extremely fast and they can compute things way faster than we can, and we can take their abilities and apply it to so many different fields. And today I'm just going to be talking about three of those fields that computers are invaluable in. So the first field that I'm going to be talking about is robotics, and this is like a very obvious field within computer science. So what is a robot? A robot is just a machine that is programmable to carry out certain tasks automatically, and this is what Wikipedia says. This is not often what we think of when we think of a robot, right? We think of something like this. We think of these like large humanoid looking figures, right? But that's not necessarily what a robot is. If you've ever programmed on Scratch before, or if you've ever like created any sort of computer program, that's what a robot is. It's carrying out a task for you automatically, right? You tell it to do something, and that's what it does. That's what a robot is. Another example is like a lot of people, they program bots to buy shoes for you. So like as soon as a bot goes on, as soon as a shoe goes on sale, a robot will know and it will automatically buy the shoe and then post it in order to resell it for higher. So I just wanted to share some cool robots that I've seen, and this actually really excites me. So this was actually when I went to Germany for a robotics competition. Um, this bird is approximately 5 foot in wingspan, and it was a robot, and it was flying, and it doesn't even look like a robot. Um, and another cool robot that I saw when I went to Germany. I was competing. Oh, this is the same screen. Interesting. Sorry, give me 1 second. Sure. Huh, weird. All right, that's really odd. I can't seem to pull up that video. You guys can still see my screen. Okay.
Das gibt es sowohl für unerlaubtes Verlassen des Spielfeldes.
So those robots were both, like I said, they were both robots that I saw in Germany, and these robots are more of what you would think that you would see in day-to-day life, but that's not necessarily what a robot is. It's just something cool that I thought I'd share. But robotics is a great way to get involved with computer science because it's a great way to see your work. It's a great way to see. It's a great way to like program something, and it's a great way to like see that happen in real life. And often you don't get to see the products of your work as well as in robotics. And it's easy to program a robot, and it's easy to see the robot actually moving. Robotics is a huge, huge field. Within robotics, there's so many different subfields. And you could honestly do any type of programming, any type of anything with robotics. You could formulate high-level algorithms if that's what you want to do. You could program at a higher level. You could program in order to tell the robot what to do, or you could program at a more lower level. You could talk to the motors and talk to the actual subsystems of the robot. And that's why because the field of robotics is so huge, that's why it could potentially be for you. Some great ways to get involved. So if your high school has a FTC or an FRC program, which is like First Tech Challenge, First Robotics Challenge, that's a huge competition. You can get involved there. If you really like experimenting on your own, NXT and EV3 bricks, you could probably get them. They're kind of expensive, but you could get them for, if you buy them used, you can get them a lot cheaper. You can get involved with, you play around with like Arduinos, you can play around with Raspberry Pis. You can get involved with computer vision, which is like how to analyze images that the robot sees, that a camera sees. You can get involved with that by getting into OpenCV and reading about that, which is OpenCV is just a tool that people use to analyze images. And generally, there's a lot of open source resources, and it's pretty easy to get involved. At your high school, there are probably some robotics programs, and if they're not, it's generally a lot easier to start. There are a lot of resources online. Another field that this is a field that not a lot of people actually know about. It's actually one of the cooler fields, I feel, and it's not talked about at all very often. It's a very niche field. So natural language processing. What is natural language processing? It's basically how computers take large amounts of like text and large amounts of spoken words, and the goal is to basically get the computer to converse like a human and get the computer to quote unquote understand language as a human does. And some of my favorite examples is, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but someone took like all the Harry Potter series and they fed it to an AI and they told the AI to write a chapter of Harry Potter, and the AI wrote things like Ron was going to be spiders. He just was. He wasn't proud of that, but it was going to be hard to not have spiders all over his body when all is said and done. The password was Beef Woman. And the tall Death Eater was once wearing a shirt that read, Hermione has forgotten how to dance. So Hermione dipped his face in mud. This is what natural language processing is. So obviously it's not that hard. It seems not that difficult to just take a bunch of Harry Potter like books and feed them to an AI and have the AI spit something out. But also things like grammatical grammar, and whether the sentences are awkward or not play a really, really big role in what the AI is spitting out and what the computer is spitting out. So like that all belongs to natural language processing, and that all belongs to that field. More seriously, natural language processing is used for a lot of translation purposes. So the Rosetta Stone is not really an example of that because they translated that by hand, but it's indicative of perhaps a larger area. So the Rosetta Stone took a very long time. It took a very long time to translate, right? And imagine if you could get a computer to do that for you. Imagine if you could take a text or two texts that were in two different languages, one that you knew and one that you did not know, and you could just use a computer to translate that for you and catalog that for you. That's a lot easier than having a human do it. There's also advertising and sentiment analysis. I don't know if you guys, there are a lot of like robots on Twitter that will look at tweets and they will decide whether the tweet is like happy or sad, or whether the tweet is expressing anger at something, or whether a tweet is expressing that the person likes certain product. And based on that, people can get like statistics on like advertising based on just looking at how a tweet is phrased. They can extract the feeling, and they can use that to tell the the product, the owner of the product, or like the person who invented the product. They can tell the inventor whether or not people are actually liking the product or not, and they can do very in-depth analysis based on that. Why it's for you. So I actually really like this because in school I was a huge fan of humanities, and I still am, and I'm a huge English nerd. And it's not a purely technical field. So you need to have an insane amount of knowledge about linguistics, and you need to know about grammar, and you need to know about the history of languages and languages in general. And you don't necessarily just need to study computer science. Computer science is a small like detail that helps you unlock this broader area, and it just makes it easier for you to learn more about languages and learn in depth about languages and learn how what people are saying. And it helps you analyze the broader scope of human language and human culture. And also, if you study linguistics, you can always like study computer science, but linguistics classes for me when I was taking them were it was like always like a break, because it was not as technical, and it was just another thing for me to learn, that, and I wasn't focusing purely on math and computer science. Um, Also, a lot of people that get into natural language processing, they do a lot of research. So this is a very academia-based research topic. Like you don't really go into the industry for this, unless you're doing stuff like sentiment analysis, where you're analyzing tweets for products. So if that's for you, that's pretty cool. But like I said, computer science in this field is just a tool to analyze language and analyze the broader culture. So ways to get involved. Actually, a lot of resources for this are very open source. So there are a lot of there are a lot of books, free books online, a lot of free tools. And if you learn Python, you can always use those tools in order to get involved with natural language processing, and to just kind of learn about language and learn about how computers process language. So this is I don't know if this PowerPoint is going to be shared later, but this is just a link to ways you can actually get involved and get started. And the third and final field is financial technology, fintech. So what is fintech? Fintech is just technology in financial services. And you would not think that there's a lot of technology and in finance, but that is not the case. Technology makes up a significant amount of um, the of like trading that happens. And actually, most people that are employed at banks are technologists, and they are programmers. So technology is knee deep in finance, and it's knee deep in our economy. So a lot of times, even especially now, trading happens at the blink of an eye, and it's not even humans that are making the decisions to trade. It's actually computers that are executing the trades that are happening, and they happen so fast. And a lot of times you need people to program the tools that make this happen. So some companies that actually employ programmers: Jane Street, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and JP Morgan Chase. Um, you would not think that big banks and big banks would like employ technologists, but they do. Actually, it is said that Jane Street treats employees better than Facebook does, so that's always a plus for working on Jane Street. Why this could be for you? So working at a financial company as a programmer does not mean that you merely just know about technology. You need to know about risk, and you need to know about the economy. Um, and it's also like very fast paced. It's the fast paced environment of Wall Street. You're constantly putting out new software, and you're constantly testing, and if you like that fast paced environment, then this is definitely for you. Also, it doesn't hurt that you make good money in the process. So if you're into the if you're into like trading, and if you're into the business side of things, then this could definitely be for you. So some opportunities: if you just graduated high school, there is a program called Fintech Focus, and I actually did participate in this program. And it's a 4-week program that teaches you fundamentals of programming and web development and Git, and they pay you actually to learn. They pay you a stipend of $1,800, and it's a really good opportunity to get involved with the financial tech community, and it's also a really good way to get in, like, to learn more about this and learn more about programming. Um, so in conclusion, computer science is just a tool to do well in many fields. You don't necessarily need to sit in front of a computer all day and just program. You're not programming a computer. Computer is just a tool to help you unlock all these doors. Yeah, if you don't know how to program, and uh, if you don't know about computer science, then you're going to have so many opportunities. Sure, there are going to be so many doors that you can step through and unlock, but there will still be closed doors. And if you study computer science, and if you learn even a little bit about programming, then there are going to be so many other doors that are going to open for you. And yeah. So computer science is just a key. The world is a lock, and computer science is just a key. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for listening to me talk about why you should get into computer science. I should stop sharing now.
Awesome, that was amazing. I know I personally learned a lot from that. That was super informative, especially the different fields of computer science. So now we're just going to open it to a general Q&A. If you have any questions, you can either put them in the chat or just unmute and say them out loud.
No questions is also cool. It just means I did my job really well. So what are the things that I did to get involved in computer science? So actually I was raised in like an environment where computer science is really it was very emphasized. Um, so I joined a robotics club in 6th grade, storming robots. Those guys, they helped raise me. Like they're amazing. And I learned about robotics through them, and they provided me with opportunities to go to different robotics competitions. And so we competed nationally in this competition called RoboCup Junior, actually, which is where the robotics are, like the robots I showed you, where they're from. We competed nationally, and we were able to actually go to the international stage in both Germany and Japan. So that's like a great. RoboCup is one of the first robotics competitions. It it it's generally a college competition. It's for college students, but every year it's a hub of just a bunch of different people from a bunch of different places, colleges. It's a huge robotics convention. People just come together to meet and compete. And we did a lot of. There's also like a junior division called RoboCup Junior, and we did a lot of that in high school. And because of robotics, I just started to naturally get involved because a lot of my friends would often talk about computer science, but there's a lot of resources to get involved. And I guess that kind of goes into your next question. What resources do I recommend? are you like, I think it depends. So if you want to get started with computer science, I think there are a lot of good organizations that can help you get started. And um, getting involved with organizations that empower females in the field of computer science is a really good start. um, because 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 you will always have workshops like this. Um, I can also like give you my contact information if you ever want to reach out to me, so that I could start like sending you whatever resources I find my way. But really networking and really getting out there and just basically attending every conference that you can. Um, there are a lot of free programs. I could like compile a list and send them to, but there are a lot of like free workshops and free programs that teach you how to program. Um, what I did was in sixth grade, my dad took me to a fair called Maker Fair in Queens, and they no longer they no longer have that. But that inspired me to, because I saw so many great people there. That inspired me, and there are a lot of just things like that. Um, what challenges do women currently face in the tech field and how can they be overcome? Um, that's a really hard question to answer. Sexism, obviously, it's not even sexism, it's just a bias towards women. And just honestly, a lot of women have a interpretation of what computer science actually is. And I think it's important for women to understand, especially that you don't need, computer science isn't just sitting in front of a computer all day. It's learning about other fields and applying what you know, as a key to to a key to other fields.